Hello Stampers, it's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and I'm coming to you live today. This is kind of a bonus Christmas card that I created, and I wanted to share with you today. It's a kind of a fancy fold card. Now this video will be a little bit longer than normal, and you can always come back and watch the replay or check it out on my YouTube if you're following Facebook Live right now. This card is featuring Warm and Toasty, and you're going to want to watch all the way to the end because I'm showing you how to make a card and an envelope. We're using Warm and Toasty. This is out of the Holiday Mini Catalog. And then also, if you've been following me very long, you know that I love this stamp set, or this die set, Hippo and Friends. I love these outline pieces, and this is what I'm going to be using, this piece right here today. So let's go ahead and get started because, as I said, this is kind of a lengthy card along with the envelope, and I want to have time to show you how to create everything. So I'm going to put a few of the pieces aside because we don't need those quite yet. And once the video is over, don't worry. You can always, if you're watching the video, if you don't have a piece of paper to write this down, the video is always available for you to watch the replay. And when I'm done, I'm going to go back up to the top and you'll be able to see all of the measurements. We need a piece of cardstock, and we need it to be cut at 6 by 10.5. And this is it's going to be for a tri-fold card. Let me real quick show you the card. It's this. Now, I guess I should back up just a little bit. So in the past, you probably have heard about slimline cards. And just for reference, I'm going to show you really quick. This is a regular slimline card. And I did another video and I forgot to do the measurements, and I forgot again. So this is a slimline. This is a mini slimline. Just for reference, this is a regular A2 card. So you can see that there's a difference, and I'm going to be honest, sometimes I get a little bored with doing just a regular A2 card, and I like to do something that's a little different. So that's why I'm doing this one today. So those are just for reference. So again, this is what we're going to be creating. As you open it up, you can see that it's triple fold, and it's super fun. So for this one, again, you're going to need 6 inches wide by 10.5. Now, if you wanted to create this mini slimline, but you didn't want the second flap open, if you wanted to create it just like that, you need a piece of cardstock like this, which is 3.5 by 7. I'm going to be making the triple fold to show you, but if you want to make the single, you just eliminate one of the folds and it would do the same exact thing. So again, 6 by 10.5. You need 3 pieces of Whisper White, and those are cut at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. A piece of designer paper, and I'm using the Heartwarming Hugs, and this is cut at 2 inches by 5 3/4. I have another piece that's cut at 1/2 of an inch by 5 3/4, and then off of that piece that went here, this is 2 inches by 4. I'm going to save that for the envelope, and I'll give you those dimensions in a minute. I also have this piece right here, which is cut at 2 inches by 4 1/4, and that goes on the inside. We do need to do a little bit of scoring. I'm going to grab my scoreboard. And we're going to score on the 10.5 inch side at 3.5 and 7. That's it. Now we will need our scoreboard again for the envelope, but for right now, that's what we need for this. Now we're going to go ahead and fold our card and burnish it very well. It's a tri-fold, and we know when you're using a thick cardstock, it's going to try to push itself open. The other thing that I want to tell you is I've noticed on some of my cards, this piece right here tries to push back just a little bit, this little flap, when you're closing this down. So if that happens to you, just cut a little smidge off the end, like probably less than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to bring this down And hopefully I can, and try folding it the other way before you cut it. So now this is how my card is folded. It's opening like this. We're going to go ahead and do our stamping first. And so I have this piece. Again, this is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. I'm going to use my pool party and this little snowflake, and I'm just going to stamp random snowflakes everywhere. And while I'm stamping, I'm just going to say welcome to you all. I don't normally go live on a Saturday, but I wanted to go live today because, as I said, I was teaching this to another group and thought that you all would like to see it too, so that's what I'm doing. So welcome, welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube, right below the video, you're going to see big red letters that say subscribe. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button so you never miss a project. I'm going to have some great projects coming up this holiday season. Okay, now I'm taking that piece of designer paper, which was again 5 3/4 by 2 inches, and I put it right on top. Now I don't like how there's no snowflake right here, so I'm actually going to stamp another snowflake. You could stamp it once the designer paper is on there. That's totally up to you. All right, putting my ink far away so that I don't accidentally stick it to myself. And then this piece actually is ready to go right on the front of the card. So I'm going to put adhesive and then open up my card the way I want it to be so I can make sure that I'm putting it on correctly. And I'll put that right there. Now, I need a little scrap piece of paper, and this is Whisper White, and I'm going to take 2 of my stamps. I'm going to take the one that says warm and toasty wishes for you, or wishes to you, and I'm going to stamp that. I'm going to move that out of the way. And then I'm also going to stamp the other one that says sharing Christmas cheer. I'm going to move my ink out of the way. And I'm going to take my paper snips. Now, I wanted mine to say Christmas wishes for you. We didn't have a stamp that said that. So, I'm cutting real tight above the Christmas. I'm going to get rid of that piece. And I'm going to cut underneath the wishes for you. Wishes to you. I keep saying for you. And I'm going to get rid of that scrap piece. And I'm going to cut the wishes and to you in half and leave the Christmas. So now I have Christmas wishes to you. You can do a lot of tips and tricks on how to do that onto a regular piece of paper. You can put washi tape on there. You can block off part of it. You can cut your stamps. I liked the way this looked, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, I want to share a tip with you that my friend Mary taught me. Have you ever been stamping and coloring with your Stampin' Blends markers, and you're coloring along really well, and then you happen to notice that your ink is going outside of the lines? And I don't mean just because we sometimes have bad eyes and it goes outside the line. I mean, the blends are literally going outside of the lines. I'm going to show you a little tip that my friend Mary taught me, and it works perfectly. Okay, make sure that your stamp is clean first. And I think that I forgot to bring my cleaner, so I'm going to grab this little baby wipe here real quick. As you can tell, in my Versamark, I've not cleaned my stamp off a couple times, or at my class that happened, and it does happen sometimes, but I try not to let it happen too much. Okay, so now I have started with a clean stamp. I'm going to stamp this into my Versamark. Get it really inked up. Now I'm going to take it to my Memento in this case, but you could do it with red, green, blue, purple, any color that you want. Now I'm going to come right over to my piece of paper. Whoops. Stamp it. I'm gonna put the lids on real quick because, you know, my paper always finds a mess somewhere. I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to use my clear embossing powder. And I'm going to put that right over the top. The Versamark keeps the black ink wet enough so that now you probably can't see, but I'll hold it up. There, you can see it's kind of fuzzy. If I use my heat tool, it's going to look like this. So let's pretend that that's what we did. I just heated it up with my heat tool, just like regular embossing, and now it is ready to color. Now, I also want you to know I'm not going to spend a lot of time actually blending today. I'm going to get the coloring done so that we don't have an extremely long video. So I'm going to go ahead and color. This is my dark crumb cake. And I'm just going to color in his horns, antlers. I really do enjoy coloring and I like blending, but it does take a little bit of time. It's a process, so you have to have the time for that or the mindset, and I think it's perfectly fine sometimes when we just literally color our images in. I don't think that, I know some people will probably gasp when I say this, but I don't think every card needs to be perfectly blended to be cute. All right, so that was dark crumb cake. Now I'm taking light crumb cake, and I'm just going to color the whole rest of the reindeer. And again, if you want to take time and blend and make him so beautiful, you can do that. Right now, I'm just going to color him in. Now that embossing just kind of holds the ink. You still have to be careful how you're coloring. Can't color all wonky and think that the embossing lines are gonna totally hold it in, but it does keep it from blending outside those lines a little bit. This will not fix bad eyesight, just so you know. If you color out of the lines because you can't see, you still are not going to be able to see, but you know, the embossing is there. So I recently had to get new glasses again, and that's a little devastating to me. I like to pretend that I don't need glasses, but that never works out really well for me. Okay, now I'm going to use my light real red for the bow. Thank you, by the way, all of you joining me. I can see your comments, and I like to comment at the end so I don't get distracted and you don't have to hear me shouting out to everyone that's here. So know that I appreciate, and I can see that you're here, and I really do appreciate that so much. Now the last thing I'm going to use is my light flirty flamingo, and I just wanted to give her some little rosy cheeks. Okay, so that piece is all ready to go. Now, have you seen this in the catalog? If you saw it in the catalog and you haven't seen it in person, this is the metallic mesh ribbon. I believe that it's advertised in the Halloween section, but I'm going to use it all year long. It's going to be great for Valentine's. It's a great little filler. So if you're ordering supplies over at my online store, don't forget to add this to your order because it's good for a lot of things. So I'm just going to cut a little piece and I'm going to pinch it in half. And I kind of like to twist it just to kind of bring it in a little bit. Now I'm going to look at my piece here, and I want it to be on this side. So I'm going to turn it over, add a little adhesive, and then I'm going to turn it over so I can see when I'm putting it on there where it's going. So we're just using this as a little filler to add to the front of our card. So now we can turn this over. I am going to put a little more adhesive there. And then I'm going to bring my dimensionals, because you all know I love dimensionals. I like to pop things up and also to make them sparkly. I'm going to put one in the middle. I like to go right over that raw edge of the ribbon, just so that it, or the folded edge, I should say, because that way I know that it has one more thing to hold it down. And then this is ready to go here. Now I did try it without the ribbon the first time, and I felt like it just didn't have enough on there, so that's why I decided to add the ribbon. So now I'm going to add my words. And if you wanted to pop this up a little bit, you could add pieces of black cardstock behind it. I'm just going to keep mine a little simple. There's always a way to pop up a card a little more, and there's always a way to make it a little more simple. And I like to show you guys simple ways, and then sometimes I like to wait for you to show me what your popped up ways are. I like getting ideas from you guys too, so please don't be shy about sharing. I love to see your ideas and be inspired by you, and never feel like your card isn't good enough. I know I have some of my stamping friends that don't like to share with me, but I love to see your stuff. You never know when you might inspire someone. So please share. When I have a sharing day, please share your creations, because somebody might be just stuck and just need a little help with a project, and you can be that one to help them. Okay, so here's the outside. Now I'm going to open it up. Here's my inside. I'm going to stamp this cute little polar bear. And then I'm going to stamp this cute little polar bear's friend. Now, again, I'm going to tell you a way you can step this up. You do have to be careful. I'll repeat this again a little bit later, but you do have to be careful with if you're mailing this. Now, this card will mail in an envelope that I'm going to show you the size, or if you have a random envelope, you could put it in there. But you have to be careful how thick you get it. So I'm going to show you a couple different options of things that you can do. So if you wanted to hand this card to somebody or add it with a gift, that would be okay, but I wouldn't add a ton of layers to this. Now, you could. Stampin' Up! Has a really pretty, I'm trying to think of the name of the color of the cardstock. It's the glimmer paper. It's the blue. And I'm not sure what color exactly, but that would be really cute if you put a little line of that here to look like they're on skating on the ice rink. If you're fancy with your Stampin' Blends markers, yep, you can color an ice skating rink there too. I'm trying to keep this card simple so that you can see that if you wanted to, you could create this card very quickly and easily and get a lot of them done. So I'm going to color this polar bear, his scarf. And I'm using Light Pool Party for this part of the scarf. Do you guys love this stamp set? Is this your type of stamp set? I love whimsical type stamp sets. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge flowers kind of person. I do stamp with flowers occasionally, but sunflowers I do love. But sometimes I just really like the fun, whimsical kind of stamp set. So this one is right up my alley. So now I'm just coloring with the light Real Red, coloring in the scarf. And I'm trying not to go out of the lines. And I didn't do this on my original card, but so I should say before, if you want to use your blends and also get fancy coloring in the polar bear, you could use some of your white blends, your gray blends, and your or your soft suede blends. Yes, Tony is right. It's balmy blue. I couldn't remember the color of it, balmy blue. But you could color in your polar bear because we all know polar bears are not pure white, but for the whimsical sake, my polar bear is going to be pure white. I'm going to give my polar bears both of them. Just some little rosy cheeks, because everyone should have rosy cheeks out in the winter. Now, another thing I'm going to show you is I like to take my light pool party, and this, it's going to seem weird when you're doing it, but it almost kind of grounds your shape that you're doing. So I'm just going to lightly go around a thin line around, and it almost makes it look like it's their shadow. That way they're not free floating. Once you get it all done, maybe practice on a piece of scrap paper before you do it on a card to see if you like it, so that you don't ruin your card. But I like the look of it. As you're doing it, you might wonder, what did I get you into? But when you're all done, you'll see that it does just kind of create that little bit of shadow. And so again, I'm just lightly going around with just a single line around every part of the two bears. And then the other thing that you could do is put a little bit of glitter on his hat. Again, you can step this up 1,000 ways. I'm trying to keep it a little bit simple for you. And then before we glue it down, of course, we want to open it up and just make sure we have our card in the right orientation. And there's the second layer. So now we're going to open it up, and we're going to take our last piece of Whisper White, and we're going to take that thin piece of designer cardstock and put this just down on the bottom. I thought that that just kind of brought the front together with the back. And then I'm going to take these cute little mice and stamp them right there. And then let me grab my markers real quick. I'm going to use the light smoky slate and color those cute little mice right in. Very quickly, hopefully. When I'm all done with this, if you have this stamp set and you've created anything with it, I'm going to create a post, and I would love to see what you have created with this stamp set. Share with people and give us some inspiration. I do have some other projects I'm going to be sharing with this stamp set over the next couple weeks, so stay tuned. Okay, I think I'll also color her boots red. And I think I better color this ornament too while I'm at it. That way I don't have to get my marker back out. I'll color that red, and I'll color it green. And then I'll color his sweater green. And I'll color her sweater green. All right, and then the last thing that I want to do, I think that I will take a little bit of silver, or my smoky slate, and I can't tell if this is a bow on the top, but in my mind that's a bow, so we're going to color that red too. And then I'm going to color inside of the ears with my Flirty Flamingo. Give them some little rosy cheeks. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just do that outline trick again. Almost done. Good thing these little mice are so little. Now, I do want to show you one little thing that I kind of decided to do on this one that I didn't do on my original one. And let me get that real quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue this to the inside. This is where you would write your little greeting, or you can stamp a sentiment on there. I'm not going to. I'll probably just put, you know, my words on there. So there's that. Now, this piece right here is cut at 2 inches by 4 1/4. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do it right now, but what I'm going to tell you is, I probably, when I put this together for an actual card I'm giving to someone, I'm going to do some stamping on the outside. Whether I just stamp, I know what I'm going to stamp on it. I'll stamp before I do it, and it'll be fast. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to my correct side. I have my real red ink, and I have warm and toasty wishes for you. I'm going to just stamp right on the outside. Okay, now this piece, I'm going to just tear the back of the backing of the tear and tape off. Bear with me, we're almost done and to the fun part of the envelope. And I don't know what size envelope this is, but the regular slimline is a number 10 envelope, but this is, I had to create this one because I didn't know what size. So look, you can put that little piece of 4 1/4 by 2 inches, tuck a little gift card in there, wrap it all up, and then I'm going to show you how to make an envelope. Again, this probably would go through the mail, but you have to be careful with how many layers you're adding to the whole card. All right, let's do the envelope real quick. I'm starting with a piece of cardstock cut at 8 inches by 8 1/2. And make sure that you're on the correct size when you're scoring, or your envelope won't turn out. I'm going to score first on the 8 1/2 inch side. 2 1/4 and 6 1/4. Now I'm going to turn it to the 8 inch side. You guys, I have to admit to you, every time I score something on a live video, I think, oh God, please don't let me score that on the wrong side, because you know it's live and it does happen. So I have to be extra super careful to score it on the right side, because that's life, and you know, I do mess up sometimes, and I have to do a lot of practice in my mind to, okay, follow the instructions exactly. Now I'm on the 8 inch side, and I'm going to score at 1/2 of an inch. And then I'm going to score at 6 3/4. And that's all the scoring. So we can put our scoring board away. And now we need some paper snips and a corner rounder if you have it. So down here at the bottom where we did that 1/2 inch, we're going to cut this corner off. Right here is the line that we did all the way down the card. We're going to cut at an angle up to that line. And then we're going to come over here and cut this piece off. Okay, we're going to do the same over here. We're going to cut at an angle up to that corner. And then we're going to cut this piece off. I'm going to throw those away. Now I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to focus on this side here. I'm going to cut these 2 rectangles off. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fold these sides in, and we're going to burnish them. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my trio punch. I don't know the name of it. I'm just stamping with it. It's a trio punch. This is the corner rounder, and I'm going to corner round that side and that side. Now we need to burnish very well. That way our envelope holds together, and we don't get sad when we find out that our card fell apart in the mail, our envelope. We don't want that. For anyone that's wondering, I've sent a lot of these out with the regular size slimline cards, making my own with cardstock. What's important to know is you need to use a very strong adhesive, and make sure and burnish those edges. Now we want to make the flap go over, so we're going to put adhesive just on this side. And then this piece here is also going to close for the end. So I'm going to put it along that edge. And then when we're ready to close our card, we're going to need it on this side. All right, now before we take that apart, I want to stamp a little image right here. So I'm going to grab, I love that little reindeer, so I'm going to grab the reindeer, ink him up, and I'm not even going to color this in or anything. I'm just going to send it just like that because I think it's great. Now, put your envelope like this where the little reindeer is. Remember, on this back side is where we have the adhesive. Right here is where we're going to attach this piece of cardstock to decorate our outside of our envelope. So I'm going to put adhesive along this edge because I want it to stay on and not crinkle up along the edge. And it looks like I got a little adhesive outside. So just make sure that it's really good and adhered there. And then we're going to go ahead and turn that over and we're going to cut off the excess. Just follow the outline of your envelope. And there it is, and there it is. Isn't it so sweet? And you know, we all have those little scraps of paper that are not big enough to quite make a card, but if it's 2 inches wide, but at least 4 inches, you could use it on this envelope. So we're going to start by taking this piece off on the side of the envelope. And then I like to use my bone folder and make sure that it's really well adhered. And then at the bottom tab, which is that 1/2 inch tab, we're going to pull that off. So this little one, not the big one, that's not the one that we put the designer paper on, but the other side, we're going to fold that over and burnish that very well so that we can make sure that our card is not going to fall out of the envelope in the mail. Now we're ready to, after we sign and say all of our fun things, put our card right in the envelope. Then we can peel this edge off, bring it over, and it's ready to send out in the mail. Now remember, the more layers you add, the less bendable it's going to be. With that gift card in here, it made it not super bendable. So you'll want to consider that when you're mailing it out. The post office considers a letter something that can be bent. It becomes a package when you cannot bend it anymore. And this one's flexible. That's because it has to go through the rollers, so it's pretty flexible. So I think that you know, a gift card or something might be better if you do this size and don't do the triple layer, but you can still add that little gift card option on the inside here. Then you're one less layer. You'll be real good to mail it out like this. So I hope that you liked this card. And again, don't forget, every single Friday I'm going to be sharing a new card layout for you all the way into December so we can get our cards done. That's my goal this year. This year has been so stressful. Let's take some stress off of ourselves and get our cards done before the week before Christmas so that we can get them in the mail and make someone's mailbox happy. So if you like this video, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to click the subscribe button. If you need to add this stamp set or the dies to your order, don't forget you can visit my store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. And also don't forget to add these fabulous dies to your order because I use them for everything. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again real soon.